Okay, Mr. John Vickery, Executive Senior Vice President of the United States. Hopefully this is helpful, not a waste of your time. You won't start with the engagement tool unfolded like this. You'll have it folded up. We'll talk about that in a second. Obviously, you turn it over. You've got your two maps. You've got the U.S. divisions. You got the international divisions. People do like to kind of pop in there, ask a few questions, so that's for later. Then you actually have the overarching engagement tool. We've got this top section, which is kind of 30,000 feet, the big flyover of the mission. You got kind of the center section, which is going to be 14,000 feet. It's kind of how does Young Life have an impact, and where are they going? To what end would be another, kind of thing. And then this bottom section is really more about sitting at 4 feet. How can you help? How have you helped? What are we trying to accomplish in the next 5 years? So, a couple other little short things before we go to the folded version. One, the engagement tool. Think napkin. Think entrepreneur. Think kind of just this is a draft. We even leave draft here. We want your input. We want to know what you're thinking. It's not a brochure. It's not a standalone piece. It's not something to necessarily leave behind. It doesn't have pictures. Doesn't have lots of words, because that's not the point. The point is each panel is really a standalone conversation that you could just kind of linger there and kind of talk. So that would be kind of the overview of the engagement tool. Now, when you start using the engagement tool, we have it folded up, and we kind of keep it right here, and we say, hey, I'd love to take the opportunity to, you're an incredible partner. If you never gave another nickel to Young Life, you'd be in the Hall of Fame. And we're going into a pretty cool 5-year window, which we're going to call forward, which I'll get to in a second. And before we get there, I just want to, pause and tell you a few things. First of all, it says draft, and that's because we're trying to get out to some of our most influential and top donors, and we want to get their input. We want to hear what they have to say. And so that's why I'm sitting with you today. This first thing is right here on the top. I'd love to just pause for 1 second and talk about just the mission of Young Life. Introduce adolescents to Jesus Christ and help them grow in their faith. I mean, you could comment on Peter Greer's book, Mission Drift, where he quotes that Young Life is one of the few missions that has not drifted. 1941 to today, 76 years, we are rock solid. You can fill in your own stories there, but I did take an 80-year-old to Young Life Camp last summer, and the 80-year-old's response after a night 3 Young Life club was, turned to me and said, it's the same. Now, I know that the skits were a little different. The songs were a little different. Kids were maybe, hopping around, and not all the girls had, pearl necklaces, and the guys didn't have their hair swooped back with jeans and the same shoes. I know it was different, but what they meant was this: the speaker got up, the room quieted down, and we told them about Jesus. The second is, some people will ask the question, hey, what difference did our walk make? We came out of reaching a world of kids, and we took a snapshot. We took a mission-wide impact. If we were to just kind of take one picture, this is kind of what we ended up with. 2.1 million kids impacted, 102 countries, 7,334 ministries, 72,000 volunteers, 300,000 attending weekly club across the mission. Any of those surprising to you? Any comments you want to make? You've been deeply involved in this mission for a long time. Okay, continuing on. So 30,000 feet. When you open it, you're opening it because you're saying, I do want to tell you about Forward. I want to give you a little sense of kind of where we're going and how I think we're going to get there. But before I do, I'd love to just spend a few moments and talk about the impact of Young Life. When someone gives money to Young Life like you all have so generously done, the question's usually out there, what are you giving to? And I just want you to know that we've come up with our impact flywheel. And we believe that we're impacting through relationships, adventure, and leadership. Relationships, I mean, you all know this. I mean, my gosh, you've been around Young Life forever, and you're some of our incredible patriarchs and matriarchs, but relationships, we have relationships with kids that may never come to Young Life, and yet we are in relationship with them. When they do end up coming, it's because of relationships. Adventure, we believe that we have 2 adventures in Young Life right now, club and camp. And, you know, a kid doesn't come back to club for a second time if it wasn't an adventure, if it wasn't fun. And obviously, Carolina Point, wow, that's an adventure. And then leadership, you got everything from campaigners, student staff, work crew, summer staff, discipleship. Leadership is kind of all of that. And when these are spinning fast, this is where kids meet Christ. So when people give money to Young Life, they're giving to this flywheel. You know, there's been a couple of banquet brochures where it says, you know, if you give to the Greenville, South Carolina area, budget of $360, 78% of that goes to, you know, salaries. Well, that's not true. It's true if you look at some Excel spreadsheet, but it's not true. If you give to Greenville Young Life, you're giving to this, and it's proven. You can go to any adult Sunday school class, and people will raise their hand and say, you know, I met the Lord in Young Life. And it is our impact flywheel. Our walk went 2009, 2016. Forward's going to be 2017, 2022. You will just walk them through the 4 ministry priorities, kind of stopping on each one. And I say at this point, you just stop and say, hey, is there anything you want to circle? Is there anything you want to ask a question about? Is there anything that you agree to, that you go, this is important? Our mission hasn't changed. This is where we stand after 76 years. This is where we're going, officially kicking off in November. This is what our impact is through. And then when we turn, this, for your meetings, is going to be, first of all, this is about a thank you. I am showing you how people can help. They can help champion Young Life. They can invite others to be engaged. They can invest. Investment happens through kind of annual giving, which is already happening with the people you're meeting with. But that's, you know, 1 budget year. Impacting forever, that is legacy giving. And we have now Campership Legacy Fund, the Every Kid Fund, which is multicultural and international. And then, of course, we have Impact Forward. This is not an ask, but some people say, well, what are you trying to accomplish? And we're saying, well, there's about $100 million that we believe we're trying to raise over the next 5 years to kind of be that, kick off those leadership priorities. And in the U.S., international, with some camps and some of our mission-wide, the President's Advance Fund, Capernaum, Women's Leadership. We just want you to know about this. We want you to know about Forward. We want you to know that your gifts to Africa and your gifts to, you know, the President's Fund and your gifts to Capernaum is making a huge difference across the world. So really, hopefully, by the time you open it all the way, you all can just talk about what they love about Young Life, what they think about where we're going forward, what they thought about our walk, where they see our impact is. You know, you'll be the first to tell them that we have an Every Kid Fund. So that's kind of fun. So that's kind of the engagement tool as you end up starting with it like this and ending up with it as it was. Okay, bless you.